Welcome to the Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for the Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So what are the practical purposes of drones? Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino will be joining us later in the program to talk about that, as well as many announcements from the Apple camp. Yes, Apple had a big deal a few days ago, and they had a lot of new announcements, so we'll be delving into that a little bit today. Are you or have you cut the cord? That is, are you streaming your TV content from the internet instead of traditional sources like cable or satellite? That world's getting a lot easier and less expensive. We'll be chatting with Jason Swanston from Open Vision Networks International Online, or OVNIO maybe, about these topics. Plus a lot of great news and updates today at the control panel. Producer extraordinaire, Mr. Jim Walsh.
Hello.
How you doing?
Not too bad. I was kind of busy over the weekend working on homework. I finally kind of hit a brick wall with my financing homework.
So you're getting close to your degree here now.
I'm as close as by Christmas I'll be done.
Okay. So just a couple more months away.
Just a couple
Cool.
more months away.
Cool.
And down to the last, this course, then another course, and then I focus on my dissertation. I have that all done, turn that in, do my defense of the dissertation, you know, where you appear before this panel of professors, and you say, well, this is what I wrote about, and they ask you stupid questions, you give them stupid answers, and then you all go home, and, you know, Christmas morning, I get my master's degree, I hope.
That'll be cool. Yeah. That'll be cool.
And then what I do with it, I have no idea.
Well, you'll figure it out as you
Well,
move
I kind of have an idea. I would love to teach online.
Okay.
You know, if you have a master's, you can do that in your chosen field. You can teach, you know, if I could teach like some basic business management courses.
Sure.
Teach them online. I could do it from the house.
Yep.
And it would certainly free me up for other things.
And that technology is there now. In fact, there are more and more people that do this all the time.
Yeah.
A lot of schools, in fact, will bring in professors or whatever from across the country to teach classes, and those professors never have to move, or like you said, they can be in their living room.
I had a lady teach college algebra.
Okay.
Early on, who was in Wyoming.
Yep.
Central Wyoming.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing what's going on in our educational system now because of the internet.
Yeah, and of course, students. I mean, I graduated. I got a bachelor's degree from Minot State University.
Okay.
And here's the dirty little secret: I have never in my life physically set foot on the campus.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even for anything.
Well, I want to get up there. I'd like to kind of see the old alma mater.
Sure.
But that's true. No, I did it all from here.
We should go to a football game sometime, you and I.
Yeah.
Just go up there so you can say that you've been there.
Well, I like Minot. I want to go up there. I understand they have a great zoo up there.
They do, yeah. Yeah.
All kinds of exotic critters.
I'll take you on a tour sometime.
Yeah.
We should do that. That'd be a fun little road trip. Yeah.
Me and the wife would love that. Drive up, look at the missile silos.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah. Well, I know you and I have talked about cryptocurrency on the
Isn't that what Superman uses?
He does use that to pay for his Diet Coke, I guess, or whatever he...
At the Fortress of Solitude.
So, yeah, cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, there's a few other cryptocurrencies that have come out, and one of them... As I'm reading through my notes real quick here, because it's down the page a little bit.
Yeah, you're about as organized as I am. Which
it's, you know, some Mondays, I'm usually fairly prepared for the show, but there are some Mondays that it gets very, very difficult to do that. But
well, this Monday, go ahead. I was going to say, it's after Labor Day, and
it is,
the whole pace of things does kind of, we switch gears rather abruptly.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody's back in school now. I mean, the whole thing, the whole jive of the town and your work schedule and everything just changes.
Weather. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Digital Note XDN, a new cryptocurrency that's out there. I was just I haven't talked about cryptocurrency for a while, so I thought I'd just kind of bring it up real quick. And you know, people talk about mining online for Bitcoin back in the day, and I think, you know, a lot of people still do this, but it's not real worthwhile anymore. So there's new cryptocurrencies that come out that you can, you know, share your resources with other data centers and things like that and earn money doing this, or cryptocurrencies, as they say. And Digital Note XDN is one of them. And I would go check these guys out. It is very, very interesting. And the thing is, with cryptocurrencies is that they have exchange networks now. So if you want to exchange one type of cryptocurrency for another, it's no different than if I want to change American dollars for euros
Right.
or whatever. You can do this with cryptocurrencies too. And you can actually work it out to a point where you can actually pay for things. There are a lot of hotels now that are starting to take cryptocurrency in payment. There are actually ATMs that you can go to and get cash with your cryptocurrency. So
And you can use this now.
you can use it
in
now.
a lot of places.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's becoming a bigger and bigger deal. Probably hasn't been adapted as quickly as most people would like it to have been. But with that said, I think there's a trust factor there. But since it's been around for a while now, cryptocurrency is becoming more and more commonplace. So you just wanted to go check it out, Digital Note XDN, and you can go to digitalnote.org. And you can see a little bit more about how cryptocurrency works. And, there is some opportunity there. I'm not going to say that I know a lot about cryptocurrency because I don't. I haven't been following this a whole lot. I need to probably get into it a little bit more, especially because it's becoming more commonplace. So, maybe over the next few weeks or months, you and I will start talking about this a little bit more. So check it out again, digitalnote.org. If you want to go and check out cryptocurrency. Uber's in the news.
Oh.
Again. So they have, and I didn't know this, they have a major competitor besides Lyft. Now, Lyft is in the United States.
Lyft, okay.
Lyft, L-Y-F-T, okay? And for those Uber is like a taxi service that you and I could become Uber drivers, Jim, and use our car whenever we wanted to, make a couple extra dollars. And that's how it works, app-driven. But Didi Kuwati is a company in China. They just recently raised $3 billion. Raised $3 billion. One of the largest efforts ever to raise money. They're very, very large in China. They're also in India. And what's interesting is Uber also raised $1.2 billion in China.
Let me guess, they didn't do it with the what's that website where you raise the money?
Oh, they didn't crowdfund this. No.
I was going to say,
yes.
no.
No crowdfunding involved here. But, so what happened is, so Didi now has invested in Lyft in the United States to compete against Uber in the United States because Uber is now competing with Didi in China.
So it's like Coke and Pepsi,
Yes.
rock and roller cola.
Yeah,
wars.
they're going back and forth trying to outdo each other. So it's very interesting. All right, everybody, after the break, we will be talking about OVNIO with Jason. So come on back.
Right now, 57.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at Facebook.com/The Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or TheTechRanch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all the listeners who are following us on the Blueberry Network across the country and around the world. They're also on the Tech Podcast Network. If it's Tech, it's here.
I like blueberries.
They are very good.
They're good on waffles.
It's a good time of year to have them, too.
Oh, yeah, excellent
Have
time.
to bring some in again. We haven't done that for a while. We'll have to have a blueberry day here.
Yeah, we had the blueberries back. It was
It's
cold,
been-
I think, when you brought them in.
Yeah, it's been a while now, but we'll have to do that again. Of course, we're also on Tuned In. We're on the Roku. We're on Apple TV. And our own app, Radio Pup. So all kinds of places you can find the Tech Ranch later on. Of course, you can find us at thetechranch.com as well. And we are waiting on a call from Jason. I'm hoping that we didn't have our wires crossed here, but we'll just continue on. So, Jim.
Yeah.
You know the campaign's heating up.
Oh. Is this another Trump thing we're talking about here?
It's not just Trump, but all of the major candidates now are building their technology wing.
Yeah.
Now, 15, 20 years ago, probably would have never even thought about how important social media is and that type of thing. But what's interesting is that this year, all the majors, Clinton, Trump, Bush, they're recruiting people from Silicon Valley.
Well, I'm convinced that that's one of the things that got Barry elected.
Yeah, I
He
agree.
was one of the first guys to really make a high priority of that.
Yes. He went after the younger set.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's where a lot of people follow that. But, nowadays, there is hardly, outside of maybe this, older senior citizens, but pretty much the whole country now is in tune with Facebook and that type of thing. There really isn't much of a generational gap there anymore.
Not so much, no.
In fact, a lot of millennials are looking at leaving Facebook because their parents are on Facebook.
Where would they go from Facebook?
I don't know. That's a good question. There's a bunch of smaller ones that are out there.
Instagram?
You never know. That's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. So you look for that, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of monies and what kind of dollars get spent on the technology side of the campaigns for the President of the United States. Microsoft is bringing out Microsoft Office 2016 on September 22nd. So we are, a week away from Office 2016. So the updated version of Office includes a number of new features for desktop customers, including the ability to co-edit documents at the same time. So, one of the things with Google Drive, if you've ever played in Google or Google Docs, is that if you and I have an account, I can share a document with you, and you and I can edit at the same time, collaborate. 2016, Office 2016 will have that in there as well. And also sync files to OneDrive, so you'll have that ability as well. So they're probably a little behind Google. Microsoft is notorious for this. Microsoft is interesting, always interesting, because they seem to be a little behind the curve when it comes to technologies with these things. But they let other companies play it out to see if it's something that's viable. Instead of investing that money into that, they just take the back seat for a little while and make sure that these are things that people want before they move into them.
And that's very savvy.
It's actually pretty savvy.
It's also kind of counterintuitive. I mean, conventional wisdom would say, let's jump in here and get into it before everybody else grabs it up and there's no more market for it.
Yep.
So but to have that kind of patience and that kind of savvy to say, let those guys fight it out, and then we'll pick up the scraps.
Right, and that's kind of what goes on with Microsoft a lot of times. So I'm not saying that they're not intuitive, because they are, but it seems to be on these major type of decisions with add-ons to their current software lines and things, they tend to take their time with it, which is okay.
Let the market shake down, then we'll step in and do our thing.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. So IBM has it's not a new thing, but it's starting to get a lot of resources now called Watson Health. So
Watson
Health, it hopes that it'll use tech to drive change across the healthcare industry.
Oh, okay.
We had we were talking about robots in healthcare here not too long ago, about a month or so ago, and there's one that's
surgery. They've got robots doing brain surgery.
They do, and all of this stuff, of course, is being supervised by somebody.
Oh, yeah.
But, there are just things that can be done that are much more precise if you have a robot doing it and that type of thing. So you're going to see a lot of changes there. And, you think about the integration of, and I'm seeing more and more people wear these, the Fitbits. And have you noticed this? The watches and these digital devices that people are starting to wear now, the wearables. I don't know, maybe you and I run in different circles, but
I haven't noticed them.
I've really noticed them lately.
Okay.
And
what do they look like? Do they look like regular watches?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's got a little face on it, and they do tell time. That's the amazing thing about it. People do look at them to tell time, but it'll keep track of your heart rate and all
I've heard about that.
All kinds of things. A couple weeks ago we were interviewing the doctor about the glucose monitoring, with one of these, and
which I could use. I'm a diabetic, type 2 diabetic.
Sure. So these are the things, and then it keeps this information. It attaches to your smartphone via Bluetooth,
right? And
it keeps track of all this information. So when you go see your doctor, they know, they have a history when you show up of what's going on, and that's really, really positive. And I expect that sometime in the future, we probably won't even be visiting the doctor so often. The doctor will take a look at our, numbers that are being sent to that person. They'll look at it and they'll say, well, if you need a prescription, here's your digital signature on a prescription. You can go by the pharmacy, pick it up. So that's what I see happening.
As long as they don't get to the point where they can throw a switch and turn your heart off. That would be uncool. That was an old science fiction. I actually read a story like that one time.
Well,
guy was misbehaving. Somebody threw a switch. He keels over, and that's it.
Actually, isn't that far from? I mean, I don't see the government doing something like that, but that is possible. With a pacemaker type of thing. That
Harlan Ellison wrote a story called Repent Harlequin, said the TikTok man. TikTok man was this guy who decided when everybody's time was up, and he'd throw a switch and the little thing inside your heart would go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you read as much as you used to?
I wish I could. Well, of course, I'm studying a lot now, and even then, I'm an avid reader, but I have terrible reading habits.
You're one of the most well-read people I know.
Well, thank you.
Unbelievable what you come up with most of the time. And I was just wondering if technology has changed the way you read.
It has. In some ways, it has spoiled me because I lie in bed at night with my iPhone, which I got right here.
Okay.
And I just surf for a while, and I'm told it's not good for you to do that it doesn't help you fall asleep. But I have not noticed it being a big problem.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I'm getting older anyway, so sleeping is more of an issue.
Sure. Interesting. Okay. Google has come out with Android Pay, and it's a rival to both Apple Pay and Samsung Pay. It's began rolling out across the United States.
How does that work? Is that like PayPal?
Well, actually, so you have your phone. You got your phone in right now. So if you go into a place that uses Android Pay, you've pre-charged your phone. So let's say you take from a credit or debit card, put $50 on it or $100 on it. When you go order a coffee, you just put your phone over the device within 10 feet or whatever it takes.
There it goes.
There it goes. And it'll pay for your transaction right there. There's no having to sign anything or whatever. So it's a wonderful process. Apple Pay, of course, is out. So you're going to see more and more and more of these things. They claim it's dramatically more secure because there's nobody.
Well, that's a key thing for people.
Right. There's nobody, if you use a credit card, for example, and this is probably the biggest thing that happens a lot, I think, is that, and I'm always uncomfortable with this. You go to a restaurant and you're sitting there, and then they come with the little folder and you stuff your credit card in there.
Yeah.
Who knows where it goes after this point? And you've seen all kinds of shows about, servers. And not that I don't trust most people. I'm very, very trusting, which is probably a downfall on my part. But they'll take your card and then they'll do some magnetic.
I mean, I do it here all the time, living here, and I have yet, knock wood, I have yet to have a problem with it.
Right. Well, I've had problems in the past in other areas.
Yeah. My father had a problem with that.
So now with this, you wouldn't have. They would just bring your bill over to you. You just put your phone right over the top of it. There's no numbers that they can see or anything. Nobody that's standing behind your back or from ways away zooming in on you, trying to with a camera or a smartphone.
No need to shield it with your hand as you're signing it and all that.
Exactly. So you don't have to worry about any of that anymore, which is kind of handy. So I see this becoming, and people really think this will be a big deal. The other thing is that what's interesting is if you can direct. I guess what I'm trying to get here is that supposedly as this moves on, there will be less transaction fees for the merchant.
Yeah.
So right now, when you make a credit card transaction with a company, which is pretty much what everybody does now, there's a 2 to 3% fee that the merchant gets charged for. So if you go to my business, for example, you had a computer repair done at my business, I pay 2 to 3% of that $100 you paid me. $2 to $3 goes to the credit card processing of that, which of course you're paying for because I've had to raise my rates now to cover this. Okay, well. What these devices are going to bring to the table, supposedly, is that they'll be bringing these rates down a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the future.
So how close are we now to being the cashless society?
Wow.
We got to be more than halfway there at this point.
In fact, I would say there's a lot of people that could be totally cashless.
Yeah, because I very rarely have any cash in my wallet anymore.
I am the same way, and I hate to do a debit or a credit card transaction if it's less than $10. So I always try to keep $10 or $20 on me.
Yeah, that's probably good.
Well, and the thing is that when you run a credit card, most people don't know this, but when you swipe that card, it costs the merchant 25 or 30 cents every time you swipe that. So if you're doing a $1 transaction with somebody, they've just used up most of that transaction covering the cost of the credit card.
And guess who winds up getting charge for that at the end of the totem pole?
We all end up with that charge. So yes. All right. After the break, everybody, Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino, will be joining us to talk about all the new stuff with Apple as well as practical ways to use drones. So come on back.
Right now, 57.
You're never more than a few minutes from a weather update here on Super Talk 1270.
We're back to the Tech Ranch. Stream this program now at supertalk1270.com. here is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And in studio, of course, we have Mr. Producer Extraordinaire, Jim Walsh.
Uh-huh.
And joining us from the wonderful city of New York, or somewhere outside of New York, I think.
New York.
Miss Metaverse, Katie Aquino. How you doing, Katie?
I'm doing well. Coming back from the Metaverse. Ready
Yeah.
for another week.
We're excited to have you back. I know it's been a few weeks since we've actually talked. I guess it's been a few weeks since we've been on the air, actually.
Yeah.
So with the Labor Day break there. So we're going to get right into it because I know we're going to be talking a lot about iPhone stuff as well as practical uses for drones. So let's just get right into iPhone. They had an Apple event that took place in San Francisco on the 9th of September and came out with a lot of new announcements. So go ahead, Katie, tell us what happened there.
Oh, wow. Where do I even begin? So I always enjoy watching these Apple announcements, and some are usually more exciting than others. And I have to say, it figures. This is the one I actually missed watching live, but luckily I was able to watch it online, and anyone listening can also find it online as well. All right, so there was a lot of new announcements for new Apple products, and they're all very, very, very exciting.
So
yes.
I just have a couple questions, I guess. So the 6S and the 6S Plus, what is 3D Touch?
All right, so that's one of the newest kind of upgrades you're going to see in the new iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. What that is it's integrating haptic feedback, which means that we're going to be using more sensations of touch to control our devices rather than just pressing a button. And I think that's great because if you're an iPhone user, you probably had this happen before at some point where I call it like the God button. It's like that round circle button, the main control button that you use for everything.
Yep.
It's like you have to use it for everything. And it's kind of frustrating because, you know, in the beginning, that's all you could use. But over time, we've had more ways of, interacting with the phones, being able to swipe left, swipe right, do all these different things. And now the newest one is what you just said, 3D Touch. So instead of just being able to swipe up or down or left and right, 3D Touch is adding a new dimension, which is going to allow you to, it has like more like a bubble type of feel to it, where you can kind of press down or tap in different ways and be able to control different things and have a different feeling to it. And that's what the haptic technology is. It's giving that feeling of touch. It's like a feedback for you.
Okay. So do you think that we'll ever get to a time where we can just maybe write on our screen what app we want to open and that type of thing? So if I want to open the Uber app, for example, I could just start spelling out UB and that would come up.
I think that we're going to be able to customize things in ways that we never even thought of before. I mean, using even this 3D touch, soon we could be able to program any kind of specific touch that we want, where we could just tap the phone in a certain way that we want to tap it, and then all of a sudden open up that app that you want.
Well, that's
it's
interesting.
All about feeling and being free of having to think about it.
So you could customize your own experience. So if you wanted to open Uber, for example, you could just tap it 3 times and Uber would open up.
Yeah, I think that's where we're headed. I think that's the direction we're going in. I don't know if this is going to offer that right off the bat, but I know that there are more and more ways to customize your iPhones now compared to, like, let's say, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And it's exciting. I think that we're going to have a lot more control. And where we're headed in terms of technology, whether it be the Android phones or even the iPhone phones, we're going in a direction where we're going to be having everything customized for how we interact with our lives or even our own movements. So like you said before, all we need is a little tap or something that we do, a natural movement, and we'll be able to interact with their technologies quicker than ever.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Very cool. And by the way, I just want to give a throw out to our Meerkat followers again today. And I don't know if you're watching us over on your side, Katie, but they probably can hear your conversation just a little bit with the speaker in the studio here, but not very well. And just want to let them know that we are working on a solution to that, so they hear both sides of the conversation here. So with that said, so moving on, Apple TV. And I have been waiting for something new with Apple TV for years, and it sounds like they're going to start moving in that direction.
Yes, and I agree with you. I mean, I think a lot of us got really excited when the Apple TV came out, and it was so long ago. And it kind of seems like it's been dragging, and it hasn't really caught on that quickly.
Well, and in fact, the device, if I remember right, has like 2 processors in it, only uses one of them, even if you have an older one. And everybody's been like, when are they going to activate this other, do a firmware update to activate the power behind Apple TV? And it's never been done. So I'm just curious now if that's going to be what's going to happen here.
Well, I think it's supposed to be better. I just know about the actual features, not more of the technical side offhand right now. But I know that one of the things that I thought was really interesting was the new remote that they're coming with, because the Apple TV remotes, I have Apple TVs in my house. I have them in where every single TV is in my house. So I use Apple TV every day. And it's gotten better as far as the software, but I agree with you. It could use an upgrade. It could be a little faster. I think there could be better options with it. So, but as far as what's coming out right now, this new remote, it's going to offer a trackpad on it, and I think that's going to be really useful. So you can use it as a cursor for your TV, making it more like an actual Apple, like a computer TV, instead of just being like a remote or something you watch Netflix on.
So do you think that they're reacting to devices like the Roku and Google's Nexus player by making some upgrades here? I mean, were they taking their time to see if there was actually a market for this, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest things here is the gamification of everything. And I think that one of the biggest things, and that's why I'm saying that the new remote is actually one of the most exciting things about the new Apple TV, is because the remote contains a gyroscope and an accelerometer, so that now you're going to be able to swing it in the air like you're playing Wii. And this way now, your family, everyone can play games on the Apple TV and really play games. So that's cool.
Well, and again, not to pick on the Roku, but they've had their Roku 3 out for probably a year already, and they have already been doing this. Maybe this will be. I think the biggest thing that I see about this is it Siri powered as well?
Yeah, and that's really cool too. I'm happy that you brought that up, because it has a microphone now, and that's what we never had before. Now you can actually speak commands to your new Apple TV and say something like, show me movies with Jennifer Lawrence. And then next thing you know, show you all the movies. Or you can even say, show me only the comedies. And then your actual Apple TV will show you all the Jennifer Lawrence movies that are comedies that you can choose from.
So Google Nexus, and I'm not trying to tear down Apple here at all. I mean, I think Apple always has great products. But have you played with the Google Nexus player at all?
I've heard about it, and it's funny that you say that, because I've had people say, you should really try the Nexus, and I don't know why. I have a hard time switching over to anything like that. I'm a diehard Apple girl.
Yeah, and I get that. I guess I'm more on the Google side, so I have a Nexus, and I've had it for a couple months now, and I'm just wowed by that device. I mean, I just tell it to go to Netflix, and it goes to Netflix. If I want to, and I was just checking this out as I'm working on a road trip here. And I actually asked how far it was to drive from Mandan, North Dakota to Bentonville, Arkansas the other day, and it pulls up a map and tells me that it was 1,200 and whatever miles. And I was just like, I just asked my TV this. So I'm going to guess that the new Apple TV with Siri attached to it is going to be the same way.
Yes, and that's the thing. I mean, I think a problem with a lot of features that you get on Android and PCs, with these, like you said, like the Nexus and things like that, a lot of people, especially older folks, they don't know that these features exist. It's like you kind of have to be a techie person to know how to utilize all these cool features. I feel like Apple does a good job of showing everybody and anybody how to use it. So, of course, it's not for the big techie, and it's easier for everyone to use. But I like simple, I like easy, and for me, I like being able to use it, and I have to think too much about it.
Well, and that's always been the appeal to people who use Apple. It's a very easy to use interface, and they make products that last. I mean, these things are, the iPhones and the iPads. I mean, you can drop these things; they don't break. I mean, you certainly are getting quality when you buy Apple products. On the Android side, and that's because Apple handles all of it. They handle the protection of the product. They handle the software that goes into it. When you get to the Android, because it's kind of an open source thing, you have 100 manufacturers that say, I'm going to make a $50 tablet, and then you got the next person that's going to say, or the next company that says, I'm going to make a $500 tablet, and people look at these and expect the $500 performance for the $50 because they're both running the same Android system on them. And that's the challenge I think that Android has over Apple. But with that said, if you're a wise consumer and understand that, you can have that experience that you want with it. You just have to know that you have to, you can't really skimp money when
you get
buying.
what you pay for.
You really do. You really do. And Apple products are always going to be a little bit more money, but you really do get what you pay for them.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Well, and another thing, too, did you hear this? And this is really exciting, too. They also announced that you can rent an iPhone now, that you won't have to just buy one. You can rent an iPhone 6S now for $32 a month, and it comes with Apple Care insurance as well, but no service. It's just the phone and the insurance. But I think that's really cool.
Yeah, interesting. So I think we're up on against the break here, so we'll do that, and I guess Katie and I will continue to converse about Apple, and I'm guessing we'll get into drones pretty shortly, so come on back, everybody.
Right now, 63.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And according to National Day Calendar.com, tomorrow is National IT Professionals Day. And it'll be the first one of its kind ever. So we just want to do a big shout out to all the IT professionals out there because they're the ones that make our world go round now. Yeah. So if you get a chance, maybe hug your computer repair guy.
Yeah.
You'll never know what's going on, Yeah. So anyway, tomorrow National IT Professionals Day. So make sure you thank those people out there. And joining me on the phone, Miss Metaverse Katie Aquino. How you doing, Katie?
I'm doing well, Marla. How are you doing?
I'm doing cool as well. I guess nothing's changed in the last 15 minutes since we asked that question already.
Somebody's got a case of the Monday.
That's right. And I'm not sure which one of us has that worth, Jim or myself.
Yeah.
So.
Or me.
Like I say, last night I was sitting there beating my head against the PC, which did neither of us a whole lot of good.
So do you have the big CRT monitor or do you have a flat screen?
No, it's a regular desktop.
Because it'd be more funny if it was one of those big ones. It probably hurt a little more, too. So anyway, we're talking a little bit about the Apple announcements, and we'll get through these real quick, and then we have a couple of things we want to talk to everybody about drones. So go ahead and wrap up the Apple stuff there, Katie.
Sure. Oh, wow. So there was a lot that we talked about already, but we didn't talk about the iPad Pro, did we?
Not yet.
Okay, so there was another new announcement yesterday, and that was for an iPad Pro. Now, this is considered a jumbo iPad. The new iPad Pro has a 12.9-inch screen, which I guess is bigger than the other ones, I suppose. I don't really remember how big the other ones are.
I don't remember either, but I think it is a little bit larger, yes.
Right. But it has some perks to it. It says it has a faster chip, 4 speakers, a 10-hour battery life, which is really good, fractionally thicker than before, and the screen has 5.6 million pixels, more pixels than on the MacBook Pro with Retina screen. So it's supposed to look amazing.
Okay.
But it says also it comes with, for $100 extra, you could buy a battery-powered stylus, which is called the Apple Pencil. And the Apple Pencil is probably one of the biggest things of the Apple announcement, too, yesterday, because if you're a creative who uses, tablets to do a lot of their graphics work or things like that, this new Apple Pencil is really, really, really impressive because you can actually imitate realistic kinds of motions that you would use, with a real pencil or, real tools. So it's really, really cool to see how people are able to use it. And I'm excited for getting that as well.
Yeah, I think that will be, I've played around with, who's the company that makes those now? For the life of me, that escapes me. But, the pad with the pencil with it. And I've played with those a little bit. we do a little bit of artwork in our office, and we've had those before, and they're okay. I won't say they're great, but they're okay. You can sketch on them, and it transfers what you're sketching to the computer screen.
Yeah.
And then you can work.
Well,
with
that was just on the news about a week ago.
Yeah, that's kind of the new toy with Apple, the new pad that we were just talking about.
Because the running joke was it was something that Steve Jobs always kind of made jokes about, the idea that
really?
Pencils, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, his supposedly he said we got to develop one of these that doesn't need any kind of writing utensil.
Okay.
And now they've done just that.
Now they have done that. So very, very cool. Okay. Any other updates there, Katie?
Well, yeah, there's actually the new Apple Watch too. It's just a new software version for the Apple Watch, but they also announced that they'll be doing new watch bands and metal finishes. And not to be surprised, there's a new Apple Watch by Hermes with Hermes editions. It means you could buy these fancy bands and watch faces by Hermes that are probably tens of thousands of dollars in price. But yeah, a lot of new announcements, a lot of neat things. I think the 3D Touch is going to be really neat, being able to control new things, like we said before. But yeah, let's move on because I'm excited about these drones.
Okay,
the drones.
I just have one quick question. Do you think companies like Rolex and other top end watch manufacturers will ever jump into the game of this? Of the new tech watches that are coming out?
I think it's probably only a matter of time because I think that just think about the technology. It's probably going to get to a certain point that why would you want a regular watch, right? I mean, I guess being a classic like a Rolex, you kind of think that classic will always stay. But I always wonder about that myself. I honestly, in my own personal prediction, I think that everything's going to evolve, and I think that even the Rolex will evolve as well.
Okay, cool.
Maybe they're thinking, like we were talking earlier about the other company that decided we're going to step back and let the market shake everything out, and then we'll step in and come up with our own version.
Sure. And the fact that they are a high-end watch, they're probably able to do something like that.
Yeah,
so.
They can afford. They've got plenty of wiggle room, I would imagine.
Right, I would think so too. So, okay, on to drones. So, the task that we had today was that we would find practical uses for drones. I mean, we know the one practical use, of course, is putting a drone up in the air and doing imaging, whether it's taking photographs, videos, that type of thing. Of course, we're having all kinds of incidents of people shooting them down now and all kinds of stuff. So I thought it would be interesting to educate people on other things that drones will make our lives a lot easier for us. So, Katie, take it away.
All right, so here's one that I thought of. What about spotting wildfires before they start? I did read this somewhere online as well, because when it comes to like a lot of natural disasters and things like that, I mean, whether you believe in climate change or not, there's been a lot of crazy things happening with our weather all over the place, and wildfires are super difficult to deal with, especially with the water issues over in California. So NASA has discovered that they were able to adopt UAVs for monitoring wildfires and preventing them before they happen. So I think that's a big thing, is being able to preserve water, conserve water, and being able to keep people safe, because drones are able to fly at lower altitudes and at slow speeds, so they can get really clear images of these fire-prone areas and make sure that these wildfires don't break out or become out of control like they do today. So
do you think that firefighters themselves, and I'm only bringing this up because I actually we have a family cabin in northern Washington State, and it's been under threat of being burned down a couple times in the last couple of years. And in fact, those 3 firefighters that were killed were just miles away from our family cabin.
Yeah.
And after I seen that happen this just a few weeks ago, I was thinking to myself, if they had a drone that they could put into the air, even when they're out fighting a fire, that would monitor what's going on around them, because you're in a forest. You know how difficult it is to see through a forest. Then you add the element of fire to that. You have no idea what's coming at you.
Yeah.
If somebody on the ground with that firefighting team or whatever could be monitoring an image that's coming back to them from a drone, I think that could be certainly a life-saving technology there.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of different ways of using these types of drones in that kind of situation. There could be drones, like we mentioned before, that could potentially spot wildfires before they even break out by monitoring the whole area. But also, if there were an emergency or something like that, there are very large drones that are being made that will be able to go and save somebody. So let's say, God forbid you're stuck in the middle of a forest and there's a forest fire. You could have this giant drone come down and pick you up and save you. I mean, that's something that's completely fascinating to me.
Sure.
I just saw there was a runner in Australia, really beautiful woman. She had her whole body burned by this horrible wildfire that happened as she was doing a marathon. And she was a beautiful woman, still beautiful now, even after, this horrible tragedy happened. But, if there were drones monitoring the whole track, this whole course that these runners were going down, they could have prevented this from happening. They would have been able to scout out the whole area before the runners went out on this marathon or could have been in danger,
Sure. Jim, you got a question?
What about storm watching, which is kind of related to what we're talking about in terms of natural disasters, I guess? Is there a way we can make these things actually fly into or at least near a hurricane to do a lot of the work that the guys in the airplanes do now?
Absolutely. I think, do you remember that movie, what was it, Twister? Where
Yeah.
they had those those are kind of like drones, right, that they released up into the air. I mean, those are like those little machines. I think that we're going to have so many different types of drones, and I definitely believe that, we're going to have drones that can go into hurricanes and be able to be resilient against all these kinds of natural disasters.
Fly them into volcanoes, study the volcano while it's erupting.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other, we're running against the clock here, Katie, so anything really unique that stands out that you want to talk about before the end of the show here?
Well, let's talk about how drones are affecting North Dakota, because I've been reading a lot of news stories about drones and how the police are able to implement them to, help bring about peace, right?
Sure.
So there's actually one drone that's called the Cube. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it.
All right. So you want to talk about Cube for a second?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell everybody what it's about here.
All right. Cube, it's Q-U-B-E. It's a rugged and reliable small unmanned aircraft system, so like a UAV, UAS, a drone, targeting the needs of first responders. So basically it's a little drone, or like an average-sized drone, that can fit in the back of a car, and it can be ready for flight in less than 5 minutes. So this is going to be, what the police can use to operate to respond to a call. So let's say if there's a criminal that's escaped and is running down a street and it's unable for the police to go and physically run after the criminal, they could deploy a drone to go after the criminal and, either use like a teaser or something like that. And which is also what I heard is being done in North Dakota as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, we're against the clock here. And remember, everybody, I will be broadcasting from the UAV event in Grand Forks, North Dakota next week. So we'll be talking all about drones then as well. So until next week, everybody, have a safe week.